Umi is shown eating alone and she greets her dad who just arrived from work, but he ignores her. Now that Hairi has started living with them, Umi likes him a lot and Hairi also often praises Umi's cooking. After this, Hairi is riding a scooter somewhere because Kyoko had suggested that he should go out and enjoy himself a little. On the way, he passes by a girl and later reaches the seashore, where he runs into Shiroha again. This time, Hairi tries to leave, but Shiroha stops him to thank him for helping her improve her swimming with his technique. After thanking him, she walks away. Hairi then walks to the sea to pray, thinking about the moment Shiroha had thanked him and all the things she had said. While he is praying, some children show up and start talking among themselves, wondering if he is the person their grandmother mentioned, the one who had lost his wings, and speculate that he might be Lucifer. Confused and a bit annoyed, Hairi asks them what kind of nonsense they are talking about, but the kids just laugh and run off. After that, Hairi notices a lighthouse in the distance and begins walking toward it. He arrives at the lighthouse and sees a girl sitting on top, humming a tune. Hairi curiously asks her what she is doing up there, and the girl replies that she is simply thinking about what to do next. Hairi expresses concern that sitting in such a high place could be risky, but the girl calmly tells him not to worry because she is used to sitting there. After that, Hairi walks off to another place, and there he encounters the same green-haired girl from before, the one who had attacked him with the water gun. Hairi refers to her playfully as a shirtless hunter, but the girl gets very angry and warns him not to say such things again or she will beat him up. Her name is revealed to be Mickey. A moment later, another guy arrives and once again begins taking off his shirt. Mickey immediately sprays him with her water gun and scolds him, asking how many times she has to remind him not to remove his shirt in public. She then apologizes repeatedly to Hairi for spraying him earlier. At that moment, Ryuichi introduces himself. He explains to everyone that they are going to hold a welcome party in honor of Hairi's arrival and that many people will be joining the event. Hairi tries to explain that he just came here for a small vacation and that it was supposed to be a quiet, ordinary day for him. But Ryuichi reassures him not to be shy and tells him that they always make their guests feel welcome with warm hearts. After a while, Mickey asks Ryuichi about another member of their group, and Ryuichi suggests that the person might have gone up to the top of the mountain. They decide to send Hairi to find him. Hairi sets out on the search even though he has no idea what the person looks like. When he reaches the top of the hill, he comes across a house. As he walks inside, he finds a guy practicing or exercising. The guy notices Hairi and bluntly asks him who he is and what he is doing there. The two then begin playing table tennis, and Hairi turns out to be very good at it. He plays so well that he easily wins the match. After losing, the guy becomes even more eager to play another round, clearly fired up by the competition. However, Mickey arrives before they can start the next match and reminds them that everyone is waiting for them outside. The guy then turns to her and asks if now is really the right time to leave and also wants to know who Hairi actually is. And Hairi makes a very awkward face and tells the guy that he should have asked him that much earlier. After this, everyone begins celebrating Hairi's arrival with joy. Then a blue-haired girl appears, the one who had been sleeping in the park, or rather, on the road, and she introduces herself as Ao. When Hairi and Ao recognize each other, they both get very surprised. The others around them begin to ask if they already knew one another, and the two explain that they had just met by chance once. Following this, someone begins explaining that all of them are members of the youth executive group on the island because there are very few children of their age around, so the youth here usually stick together in harmony. Hairi then asks about Shiroha, and the others respond by asking if he has met her and whether he knows her. Hairi replies that he doesn't know her that well. Ao then questions why he is calling her by her first name if he barely knows her. Hairi replies that he didn't know it was her first name. One of the boys explains that Shiroha doesn't like to go out much and adds that Hairi should be careful not to bother her. This reminds Hairi of the earlier swimming pool incident, and he starts making an awkward expression again. From this reaction, Ao figures out that Hairi must have done something to Shiroha. Hairi quickly tries to clarify that she shouldn't get the wrong idea and insists that he hadn't done anything inappropriate. He just happened to meet Shiroha on the road. Ao then mentions that she had invited Shiroha as well, but she refused to come. The next day, Ui is leaving the house very early after preparing food for Hairi. Hairi skips eating properly, takes his car, and heads out for a drive. Along the way, he comes across an ice cream shop and steps inside to buy something sweet. A kind grandmother prepares a tasty treat for him, something like a shaved ice, and he sits outside to enjoy it. Shortly after, the granny comes outside and advises him to eat indoors since the weather is too hot. He listens and enters the house to eat more comfortably. However, as he opens the door, he accidentally walks in on Ao, who is in the middle of changing clothes. The moment turns extremely awkward. Both of them are caught off guard and visibly embarrassed. Hairi gets so flustered that he ends up throwing his ice cream at Ao in sheer panic. Ao begins yelling at him, completely shocked, prompting Hairi to apologize profusely. Ao angrily tells him that not only did he barge into the house without permission, but he also saw her changing and now he expects forgiveness. Hairi tries to explain that he had studied at an all-boys school and had no experience in situations like this. He says that in the heat of the moment, the only thing he could think of was to cover her somehow, and so he instinctively threw the ice cream. It was a ridiculous move. He could have simply stepped back out, but instead he made things worse. Despite his continuous apologies, Ao remains furious. He then asks her what she was doing inside the shop, and she replies that she works there. Despite her explanation, he still feels extremely awkward because his own underwear had become soaked with melted ice cream. Hairi again begs for forgiveness and even suggests that she throw ice cream on him as revenge. Ao accepts the offer and brings out a large amount of ice cream, ready to hurl it at him. She does exactly that, and after doing so, bursts into laughter, breaking the tension with a lighthearted moment between them. But then Hairi throws ice on Ao's face as well, and Ao, now furious again, retaliates by throwing 2 bowls of ice directly at Hairi's face, hitting him in the eyes. After that, Hairi gets irritated and throws some ice back, but accidentally hits the wrong spot, which causes his clothes to get completely soaked. Since he's all wet, he decides to take off his shirt and dry it. Just then, Mickey suddenly shows up and sprays him with her water gun, catching him totally by surprise. Hairi doesn't even see it coming. She tells him that she didn't mean to attack him this time, but warns him not to walk around shirtless again, or she won't hold back next time. She quickly tells him to put his shirt back on. Hairi then heads home and tries to dry his shirt. When Umi sees him without his shirt, she becomes really shy and turns away quickly, blushing. Hairi hurries to explain what happened so she doesn't get the wrong idea. Later, he's shown relaxing in the bath, thinking about everything that has happened since he arrived. He realizes it's already been 3 days and he still doesn't fully understand why he came to the island in the first place. He thought it would be a break, but he's not sure what he's looking for. After getting out of the bath and changing, he goes to see Kyoko and politely asks if it's okay for him to go out again for a while longer. Kyoko responds by mentioning that she has heard he's been making friends with the youth group members on the island, and she expresses her happiness that he's able to connect with the locals. Hairi then apologizes, saying he feels bad that he hasn't been able to help her in any way, but Kyoko reassures him that it's no problem and she will surely ask for his help when needed. Hairi, in his thoughts, admits to himself that coming here to help Kyoko was really just an excuse. What he truly wanted was to distance himself from others and escape from his busy life for a while. He later heads to the seashore, and once again, he finds Shiroha there. Shiroha sees him and curiously asks what he's doing there. Hairi replies that he's just wandering around. As they speak, he refers to her by name, which surprises Shiroha. She asks how he knows her name, and Hairi reminds her that she was the one who told him when they first met. Then, as usual, Shiroha mispronounces his name again, and Hairi once more corrects her and wonders why she keeps getting it wrong. He then brings up a moment from the past, telling her that when he was arriving on the boat near the island, he saw her staring intently at something. He asks what she was looking at, and Shiroha explains that she was watching birds flying in the sky. She then turns the question on him and asks why he came to the island. Hairi responds honestly, saying he doesn't really know. He then starts thinking about his past life, how hectic and packed it used to be, and how he barely realized how quickly time had passed. He says he just wanted to step away from that busy routine and take a break, and that's why he came here. Wanting to keep the conversation going, he asks Shiroha what her favorite summer break memory is. She tells him about her childhood summer, and Hairi agrees, saying that childhood summers spent with family and friends were the best. He reflects that during that time, they not only made memories, but also got chances to do various enjoyable activities. He shares how, since arriving on the island, he's been flooded with memories from his own childhood, though he doesn't quite understand why it's happening. Still, he admits that he enjoys the feeling. Shiroha offers a thought of her own, suggesting that maybe he has become so fond of the island that it is bringing these memories back. She then asks what he meant earlier when he talked about his wing breaking, saying that her grandmother had mentioned something about it. Hairi realizes that he had not shared that with any grandmother on the boat, and he quickly explains that it's just a phrase people use and not to read too much into it. The girl is walking along a path carrying a bag with her. Meanwhile, Hairi is happily eating a plate of fried rice made by Umi. He thinks the food tastes really good that day, and Umi feels happy when he compliments her cooking. Later, Hairi is sleeping peacefully until Umi enters his room and teases him for being lazy. He slowly gets up and asks if she's heading out again. Umi tells him that the weather is really nice today, so she's planning to go bug hunting with her friends. She reminds him that it's still summer break and suggests he go out and have an adventure instead of staying indoors all day. When she says the word adventure, Hairi blushes slightly, clearly daydreaming about something, probably girls. Umi notices and playfully accuses him of thinking something inappropriate, but Hairi quickly denies it, saying that's not true at all. Umi laughs, says goodbye, and leaves for her outing. Now alone, Hairi decides to head out too and walks toward a nearby lake. When he gets there, he sees Shiroha standing quietly by the water, looking serious and thoughtful. Then, out of nowhere, Shiroha raises her hand, makes a pretend gun with her fingers, and starts pretending to shoot like she's playing a make-believe game. When she notices Hairi watching her, he immediately plays along and acts like he's been shot. This makes Shiroha blush deeply, turning red with embarrassment. Feeling shy, she watches as Hairi walks up to her and apologizes for surprising her. Trying to explain herself, Shiroha nervously points at him and says her family has a special tradition involving the river, though it's not something they explain normally. She's too shy to say much more, but insists it's totally normal for her family. Then she points toward the river again and says they are standing behind it, repeating it like it's something meaningful. Hairi repeats the same words, and for a little while, they both keep saying it together, caught in the strange but sweet moment until they both get tired. Suddenly, Hairi asks if she likes reading manga. Shiroha says she enjoys it when someone gives it to her, but then blushing again, she quickly adds that she doesn't like Hairi very much and runs off before he can respond. A bit later, Hairi sees a girl with black hair having trouble with her bag. He asks if she needs help, and she says it's stuck on an iron rod. After he helps her, she jokingly calls him Hairi. Confused, asks if she knows him. She says no, but jokes that he's probably more popular than he thinks. She then introduces herself as Kamome. Hairi finds it difficult to pronounce her name, but she tells him it's okay, and that just calling her normally is fine with her. Out of nowhere, she starts pretending to be a sea eagle. Hairi is clearly puzzled by her behavior and wonders to himself what she's even doing. Noticing his confused expression, Kamome tells him not to stare at her like she's being strange, and Hairi quickly apologizes. She smiles and tells him again that he doesn't need to be sorry because he helped her. Hairi is dragging her bag while she sits comfortably on top of it, refusing to walk. He tells her that she should really get down and walk on her own. She insists on riding the bag. Curious about where they're going, Hairi asks her about their destination, but she only laughs and says she can't say yet. It's a big secret. This answer leaves Hairi even more confused, and it clearly shows on his face. As they continue walking together, Kamome begins humming a tune to herself, and Hairi, still wondering what's going on, asks her what song she's humming. After talking briefly about the song, they continue walking until they run into Umi along the way. She notices them and asks where Hairi is going, but he stays quiet. Kamome, with a mischievous smile, answers on his behalf, saying that she is punishing him by making him drag her bag. She then turns the attention toward Umi and teasingly calls her a little girl, asking where she herself is heading. Umi immediately reacts and tells Kamome not to refer to her that way. Before the conversation can continue, Umi's friends call out, reminding her that they need to hurry as they are already running late. Umi warns them to be careful, mentioning that there's a steep, slide-like path ahead, and then heads off with her group. Not long after, the sloped road comes into view, and Hairi cautiously says that the path seems dangerous and that they should move slowly. But Kamome, being a thrill seeker, has other ideas. Without hesitation, she pushes the bag ahead, hops on top of it, and starts sliding downhill at full speed. She seems to be enjoying every second of it, laughing and feeling the rush, while Hairi chases after her in panic, unsure how to stop her or protect her. The excitement takes a turn when a river appears at the bottom of the slope. Kamome tries desperately to stop herself, but fails and ends up falling straight into the water. She begins to drown, struggling beneath the surface. Hairi, watching helplessly for a moment, closes his eyes and is suddenly thrown back into a memory of his past, a swimming competition he once takes part in. He remembers the intense pressure, the moment he loses control in the water, and how that failure has haunted him since. But this time, he knows he has to act. He takes a deep breath, assumes his swimming position, and jumps into the river to save her. However, as soon as he enters the water, panic grips him and he starts to struggle, telling himself that he can't do it. Just then, Kamome manages to reach out and pull him upward, rescuing him instead. She thanks him afterward, acknowledging that she has assumed he doesn't know how to swim, and he still jumps in to save her, which means a lot to her. As they recover from the incident, Hairi notices a cat symbol on Kamome's bag. She explains that it's the emblem of Hijinikos, and Hairi thinks it sounds pretty cool. They begin to joke around, and Kamome starts splashing water on his face playfully. The two of them are back on the shore, wringing the water out of their clothes. At one point, when Hairi glances toward Kamome, his gaze accidentally lands on an awkward spot. Embarrassed, he quickly turns his head away. Looking up at the sky to distract himself, he thinks to himself that the sky above looks just like heaven. The conversation then shifts to the beauty of the blue sky, and both of them talk about how lovely it truly is. Kamome starts reminiscing, saying that she has lived on the island for a long time and that the suitcase she always carries has been with her since it is very small. She recalls a time when a summer camp is organized there, attended by many students, and that she also participates in it. Curious, she asks Hairi why he comes to the island. Hairi doesn't immediately respond, but she guesses aloud that he must have come seeking adventure. This triggers a memory for Hairi as he remembers Umi previously telling him the same thing, that now that he's here, he should embrace the experience. He begins to think that maybe she is right and that he truly is enjoying the adventure after all. Kamome then tells him that he should come with her to a certain place. Hairi, puzzled, asks where they are going, but Kamome simply says they're going on an adventure. She grabs his hand and begins to lead the way. Hairi asks repeatedly where they are headed, but she refuses to tell him. Along the path, Hairi suddenly spots Shiroha in the distance. Without hesitation, he runs toward her and calls out her name. Shiroha, startled by his sudden appearance, turns around with a frightened expression. After that, Hairi begins apologizing to Shiroha one last time, trying to make amends for everything that happens between them. He asks what she is doing there and whether she needs help with something. Offering his support, he says that if there's something she wants, he'll help her with it. Shiroha, still quiet and a little unsure, asks if he really means it and hands him some money, requesting a watermelon-flavored ice cream. Hairi accepts and leaves to get it for her. But when he returns, he has lemon-flavored ice cream in his hands instead. He explains to her that the watermelon one is already sold out. Hearing this, Shiroha's face falls with disappointment. She doesn't take the ice cream and quietly walks away without saying anything. Watching her leave like that, Kamome, who has been observing, remarks that Shiroha looks really cute in that moment. Hairi ends up giving the ice cream to Kamome, who gratefully accepts it and thanks him. Eventually, the two of them reach their destination, an old elementary school. There's a barrier wall in front of the building and Kamome begins climbing it without hesitation. Hairi, embarrassed, turns his face away to avoid accidentally seeing anything inappropriate while she climbs. Once she's up, Kamome calls out to Hairi and encourages him to climb too. With a bit of struggle, Hairi manages to make it to the top. Looking around nervously, he suggests that they shouldn't go any further, but Kamome insists that they have to keep going just a little more. She points out the direction they need to reach, and without waiting much longer, she climbs down toward a window and opens it. Hairi watches this nervously and asks if this isn't too risky, wondering whether this could get them into trouble. Kamome calmly assures him that there's nothing to worry about. The two of them enter what looks like an old classroom. Inside the room, Kamome starts rummaging through some items, pulling out objects from their childhood. She tells Hairi that back when she and her friends are younger, they used to come here to play and go on adventures. Among the items, she shows him a poster featuring a cat, the same symbol that's on her bag. She explains that it used to be their group's flag or emblem when they attend summer camp, a time filled with fun and exploration. As they continue looking through old memories, Kamome hands him a notebook in which she writes down many things during her childhood. Hairi flips through its pages and finds an entry about a particular box sitting right in front of them. He becomes curious and asks what's inside the box, but Kamome doesn't let him open it. There's a chain wrapped around it, keeping it closed. Hairi, still curious, teases her by asking if it contains her childhood secrets, but she remains silent and doesn't respond. A moment later, Kamome climbs out through the window and calls Hairi to come and look at the view. When he looks outside, he's struck by how beautiful the scenery is. He then looks over at Kamome and finds himself smiling as he watches her. The sun has begun to set, and the sky is painted in warm colors. As the day draws to an end, Kamome tells Hairi that she has a really good time spending the day with him, and she hopes that their next adventure will be even bigger. With that, she waves goodbye and begins walking away. Hairi stands still for a moment, thinking deeply about everything they experienced that day. He realizes how much fun he has with her and reflects that this adventure feels truly unique. He remembers all the little moments they share and thinks to himself that it is a day he won't forget. Just as he is lost in these thoughts, he notices that Kamome hasn't gone far, she's still standing nearby. He walks over and asks if something is wrong. She tells him that her legs are hurting and she might not be able to walk home. Without hesitation, she sits down once again on her suitcase, clearly expecting Hairi to do what he does before. She looks at him and tells him to get moving. Hairi begins pushing her suitcase once more. As they walk along, they talk casually, and at one point, Kamome tells him honestly that he's a really nice person. Curious, Hairi asks her what she means by that. She replies that he can take it however he wants. Hearing this, Hairi simply smiles and thanks her. In the past, Kamome is speaking to one of her friends named Takada about a hidden treasure. She seems excited about the prospect, but Taka, with hesitation, tells her that he doesn't think he can help her. He assures her that she'll eventually find someone better suited to assist her in the search. Just then, a girl named Tsubame appears, enthusiastically pretending to be a ninja. She's quickly followed by Hayato, who acts like a scientist, bringing a different kind of energy to the group. Another girl, Suzume, is introduced briefly, though not much is said about her. Still, it's clear she shares the same interest in finding the treasure and wants to be part of their team. All of this takes place in a flashback, setting the foundation of the story with childhood curiosity and ambition. Back to the present, Kamome and Hairi are together. Kamome, now grown up but still driven by that same childhood dream, is trying to locate a key that unlocks a treasure box believed to contain a secret about the island. She tells Hairi that the mystery hidden inside is significant, but insists on keeping the details to herself until the key is found. The treasure box has 4 knockers on it, each representing one of the 4 friends seen in the earlier memory, and Kamome is the group's leader. Because of this, she still holds the book that contains clues about where the keys are hidden. Hairi expresses doubt, wondering if the keys could still be there after all these years. It has been 10 years after all. Kamome opens the book and shows him the notes, where the locations of the keys are written in the form of cryptic puzzles. One of the clues states that the key lies hidden in the depths of the ocean, making the search even more complicated. They head over to the swimming pool, not the sea as one might expect, but once there, they both doubt the key could possibly be hidden in such a place. The note also contains a reference to Cajuns, a term meant to signify the god of the sea, but then offers his own interpretation. Perhaps the clue refers to a lighthouse, since it too serves to protect those at sea. Acting on this hunch, they head to the lighthouse, where they find a familiar face, Tsumugi, a yellow-haired girl who has appeared before. It turns out that Hairi already knows her, a fact that surprises Kamome. Together with Tsumugi, they begin picking up garbage scattered along the shoreline, cleaning the area as they talk. Kamome tells Tsumugi about the treasure box and the possibility of finding a key that could unlock it, though Tsumugi herself knows nothing about it. Meanwhile, Hairi keeps thinking about the clue and becomes increasingly certain that the key cannot be in the ocean itself. Later, the group sits down at a restaurant and continues brainstorming about where the key could be. The topic of a kaiju comes up, something that prompts Kamome to start acting out a playful impersonation of one. Hairi watches her and feels something odd about the entire discussion, sensing that they might be getting off track. They decide to visit a shrine, hoping they might find a useful lead. After a brief search, where, to their surprise, they actually manage to find one of the keys. Kamome, overjoyed by their success, asks Hairi how he figures it out. Hairi begins explaining that perhaps the clue about the god of the sea is actually referring to a shrine who protects the sea, leading him to believe that the key might be hidden under the stairs, and he is right. Finding the key there brings a big smile to Kamome's face, as she's thrilled to have located one of the 4 keys first. As the evening falls, she walks away feeling content, and Hairi also heads off toward his destination. Before parting ways, they promise to meet again the next day. They are both seen frantically running away from a dog. It turns out that the next clue in the puzzle directs them to a doghouse, suggesting that one of the keys might be hidden there. The puzzle also hints that the dog in question could be over 10 years old, adding yet another quirky layer to their adventurous quest. After that, both of them head toward a house that looks like it might be worth checking, and Hairi suggests they take a closer look. As they approach the doghouse outside the property, he puts his hand inside cautiously, and to their surprise, she pulls out one of the missing keys. With one more piece of the puzzle in their hands, they begin planning to search next in a desert-like area mentioned in the clues. This desert is rumored to house a creature named basilisks, described as some kind of monster, though Hairi half jokes that it might just be a bunch of chickens instead. To follow his hunch, Hairi pays a visit to Kyoko and asks if anyone on the island keeps a large number of chickens. Kyoko answers that Shiro's parents in fact raise many chickens, which immediately catches Hairi's attention. He shares this information with Kamome, explaining that Shiroha is the same girl they have met at the ice cream shop, and that she is actually the first person he speaks when he arrives on the island. He admits he's known her since then. They head to Shirova's house, but before they can get too far, a tall and intimidating man emerges from the home. His sudden appearance startles Hairi, who clearly isn't expecting anyone like that. The man, suspicious of the unfamiliar faces, demands to know how they know Shirova's first name. Hairi hesitates, but Kamome quickly responds that they are friends of Shirova. Despite the explanation, the man doesn't seem convinced. Realizing that something is off, he closes the door on them without another word. Just then, a schoolgirl passes by dressed in her uniform, and Kamome gets an idea. She comments that if she goes there dressed in a school uniform, maybe they would trust her a bit more. She turns to Hairi and asks if there's any way they can get one. Hairi, unsure but willing to try, decides to approach Ao for help. He asks her directly if she can lend her school uniform, a request that immediately surprises her. Ao refuses at first, but Hairi pleads and insists that it's not for him, it's for a friend. Moved by his persistence, Ao finally agrees. Meanwhile, Kamome arrives at Shirova's house, now wearing the uniform. It's clear that Ao eventually agrees to lend it. Hairi, seeing her, jokingly comments that the uniform looks a bit tight on her. They approach the house again and start calling out. This time, Shiroha's grandfather answers the door. Instead of turning them away, he calls Shiroha to come out and meet them. When she arrives, she looks confused and asks who they are. Kamome introduces herself and explains their purpose. Eventually, Shiroha agrees to bring them to the chicken coop, which is located just behind the house. Once there, the group starts searching around, trying to follow the next clue. In the middle of the search, Hairi stumbles upon a strange book. He opens it for a moment, but quickly blushes and sets it down, clearly embarrassed by whatever he sees inside. Shirova notices and makes a face, wondering if that's what they come there to find. Hairi, now red in the face, denies it and resumes his search. After looking through the area more carefully, Hairi finally finds another key. Curious, Shirova asks what it is, and Kamome explains that it's one of the keys to the treasure they've been searching for. Shirova lights up with excitement, clearly drawn to the mystery, and Kamome asks if she'd like to join them on their quest, but Shirova declines, unable to commit to the journey. Hairi gently explains to Kamome that Shirova is a shy person and prefers to stay within her comfort zone. Still, the energy is cheerful. Hairi compliments Kamome, saying he now understands why she's the leader of the group. She always sees things through, no matter how difficult they seem. The compliment makes Kamome visibly happy. She begins to open up a bit more about herself, sharing that she used to be shy too, especially during time she spends alone at the summer camp. It isn't until she stumbles upon her father's old map, which is filled with notes about exploring the island, that her desire to uncover the island's secrets truly begins. Finding that map is the first step toward this entire adventure. On the map, Kamome discovers as a child, there is a cross marked at one particular spot with the word treasure written beside it, but the path leading to that location is extremely dangerous. She knows her parents would never allow her to go alone, so she decides that she needs a boy to accompany her. Eventually, more people join her group, and as she lists all their names, Hairi finds himself surprised because their names sound familiar to him. After their ongoing search, Hairi finally manages to find the fourth and final key. Just as he does, a bird begins to bother him, causing him to fall from a tree. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself inside a house, and to his surprise, Kamome is wearing a maid outfit. She explains that he gets hurt because of her, so she decided to take care of him while he recovers. Hairi, still groggy and confused, asks why she's dressed like that, and Kamome tells him that she offers to help Kyoko around the house, and this is the outfit she is given. Just then, Kyoko enters and comments on how cute Kamome looks in the uniform. Hairi, slightly flustered, agrees with a faint yes, which makes Kyoko happy. With all the chores now being handled by Kamome, including the shopping, Hairi is left to rest. While he's taking a bath, Kamome unexpectedly comes in to clean out his back. Hairi, panicking, blurts out that he's not wearing a towel, which causes Kamome to become just as embarrassed, quickly feels too awkward, and apologetically leaves the room. Later, with all 4 keys in their possession, Kamome finally opens the long-awaited treasure box. Inside, they find a piece of paper, and Hairi asks if this is really all there is. Kamome, overwhelmed with emotion, thanks him, saying that without his help, she never would be able to open it. Hairi, curious, asks what the paper says, and Kamome reveals it contains the location of a ship. Hairi, unimpressed, wonders what's so important about that, but Kamome insists it matters. She begins to tell him about her past, about how she and the others travel great distances and face many obstacles to get to that ship. When they finally reach it, they find a pirate ship with a logo that matches the one she still wears in her hair today. Though Hairi seems skeptical, Kamome assures him she's telling the truth. What reason would she have to lie? She explains that they find the ship just as their summer camp ends, and they all have to return to their homes on the same day. Hairi suggests that if it really exists, the ship should still be there, and they should go check. Kamome lights up the idea, reminding him that all of them once promised to come back together after 10 years to rediscover the ship. With the map and the key in hand, she says with excitement that maybe, just maybe, the ship is still waiting for them. The duo is heading out again to search for the hidden treasure, and Kamome is happily singing a song even though she doesn't really understand its meaning. Still, she keeps humming it with excitement. While they are walking, Kamome comes up with a team name, Higineko Kamome. However, some of the other group members comment that the name Kamome doesn't sound quite right. Even so, Higineko is the one who makes the final decision and the name sticks. Suddenly, Kamome slips while walking and Hairi quickly tries to catch her. But just then, Hairi wakes up from his sleep. It has all been a dream. When he looks up, he sees Kamome standing in front of him, and he becomes very flustered and embarrassed. She takes a step back and tells him not to stare at her like that, as it might give people the wrong idea. After that, they get ready for their next camping trip to continue the search for the pirate ship. Kamome asks if his hand is feeling better, and Hairi tells her it is. They begin walking together and cover a lot of ground. During the journey, Kamome starts singing the same old song again, and Hairi mentions that it sounds familiar, like something he has heard a long time ago. As they walk, Hairi notices that Kamome is falling behind. He kindly offers to carry her suitcase to help her move more easily, but she refuses. She explains that she has never let anyone carry it before and doesn't want to now. She says that the reason she always walks slowly is because of the suitcase, but she still prefers to carry it herself. Hairi tells her not to worry, saying they can just take their time and enjoy thinking about old memories. This makes Kamome smile, and she tells him he is really kind. Later, they reach a point where the road splits in two. Using a compass and a map, they pick one path and continue. The sun is getting hotter, and the walk becomes more tiring. Hairi suggests taking a break, but when he turns around, he sees that Kamome isn't behind him anymore. He starts remembering their past, when they walked the same path as kids. It is just as hot then, and everyone finds it tough. Even back then, Kamome walks slowly because of her suitcase, and Hairi offers to help, but she doesn't let him and tells the others to keep going while she comes later. Snapping back to the present, Hairi is still thinking about those memories when Kamome catches up. She asks what he is thinking about, and he asks where she has gone. She says she is just walking slowly because of the heat. Then they keep walking and finally reach the cave they are searching for. Then a memory resurfaces, showing a night from the past when they camped there, and Hairi has trouble sleeping, so he steps outside for some air. While outside, he notices Kamome is also awake. She walks a great deal that day and is now in pain because of it. Hairi approaches her gently and asks if her legs are all right. It is at that moment he learns that she has trouble walking and uses her suitcase for support. The realization stays with him, and now as he dreams about it again, those moments from the past help him understand Kamome even more deeply. Just then, Kamome walks up very close to Hairi and greets him with a cheerful good morning. Hairi is immediately startled by her sudden closeness and instinctively backs away in embarrassment, telling her that she shouldn't come so close to him and making an awkward remark that she shouldn't do anything strange. Kamome, rolling her eyes at his reaction, firmly tells him that he doesn't need to speak nonsense. She then shifts the conversation and tells him that there is a very good place nearby to take a bath, so she is heading there and asks him to stay put by the fire. Hairi remains seated by the fire, letting the warmth settle him, when suddenly he hears Kamome scream from the distance. Alarmed, he runs quickly in the direction of her voice and finds her not fully dressed, clearly caught off guard. Despite her state, Kamome points ahead and nervously indicates that there is something over there. Hairi, though trying to stay focused, finds his eyes accidentally fixed on her before realizing that the source of the scare is actually a wild pig nearby. Trying to lighten the tension, he blurts out that he is feeling unusually excited, and Kamome, catching the meaning, asks in a flustered tone whether he is excited from seeing her. Hairi panics and denies it frantically, telling her that whatever she is thinking isn't true. Embarrassed herself, Kamome blushes and looks away, and Hairi quickly apologizes, saying that he honestly hasn't seen anything inappropriate. She doesn't believe him and tells him firmly not to lie. Internally, however, Hairi admits to himself that he has seen something, but is trying hard not to think about it. He keeps his thoughts to himself, knowing it won't help to say anything out loud. Then, trying to change the topic again, he asks if going further into the cave wouldn't be dangerous, to which Kamome confidently replies that it wouldn't be too risky, and that since they have come all this way, they should see it through. Hairi smiles, admitting that he already knows that is going to be her answer, and teases her by saying that she hasn't changed a bit. She asks him what he means by that, clearly confused, but he brushes it off and tells her not to worry about it. As they move deeper into the cave, Kamome explains that about 300 meters in, there's a narrow path they need to find, and true to her words, they do find it. Walking through the passage, Hairi is suddenly flooded with memories from the past, remembering a time when Kamome guides their group through a similar cave in the same confident way. These thoughts fill him with both nostalgia and admiration. As they make their way further, Hairi turns to Kamome and asks if her leg is doing okay. He reminds her that she has issues with her leg in the past and that she often relies on her suitcase for support. Kamome is surprised by his words and pauses, wondering how he knows that. She replies by denying anything is wrong, reasoning that if she does have a leg problem, she wouldn't have come on such a journey in the first place. Hairi counters her explanation by asking why she always carries her suitcase with her wherever she goes. After a moment's hesitation, Kamome says she can't explain everything and asks him to understand. But Hairi pushes gently, saying that since they are on this adventure together, they should trust each other and share their truths. Finally, Kamome opens up and explains that her legs sometimes hurt, particularly during colder seasons or in the middle of the day, and she apologizes for not mentioning it earlier. Her honesty triggers more memories for Hairi, and he recalls how, in the past, Kamome tells him about being hospitalized for her leg condition, and how it interferes with her ability to walk normally. He remembers his emotional reaction back then, how he yells at her in frustration, asking why she doesn't tell him sooner. In that moment, she says that she is feeling better and holds on to hope that she might recover entirely. Now, back in the present, Hairi, feeling concerned, tells her they should turn around and return, but Kamome protests, making an emotional plea. She insists she doesn't want to go back, not now, when they have already come so far. With genuine conviction in her voice, she asks him again and again not to give up and not to think about heading home just yet. Hairi responds with a calm certainty, saying that he knows she will say something like that, and since they have come this far, there is no point in turning back. Hearing this brings a bright smile to Kamome's face, and the two decide to take a short break. As they sit down to rest, Kamome curiously asks him again why he really comes to the island. Initially, Hairi avoids answering, clearly hesitant and uncomfortable, but Kamome gently urges him to open up. Eventually, he begins to explain that he creates a problem back in his team, specifically his swimming team. He recalls that during an important swimming competition, he starts drowning midway through the event, and because of that incident, he is forced to quit. After listening carefully, Kamome reflects on what he shares and tells him that it is admirable how people trust him, and she finds it to be a genuinely good thing. She then shares that it is painful to feel disappointed because for her, the goal is to witness something as amazing as piracy. She adds that after working so hard to reach that point, if there turns out to be no pirate ship or adventure at the end of the journey, it will hurt her deeply. Kamome also reveals a more personal side, telling him that because of her illness, she hasn't spent much time outside the hospital and as a result doesn't have many cherished memories of summer vacations like others might. That is why it is so important for her to find someone who can be her partner in this adventure, someone who truly understands the value of the journey, not necessarily the treasure itself. She admits that perhaps the treasure isn't as important to her friends as it is to her. They join simply to support her. With a soft voice, she says they should now move forward again. As they continue walking, an unexpected mishap occurs when Kamome's flashlight gets damaged. She reaches for her spare battery, but in the process, she and her suitcase accidentally slip and fall into the water. Without a second thought, Hairi leaps in after her. As the current carries them forward, they hold on to each other tightly, refusing to let go. Eventually, Kamome manages to get them both out of the water, but Hairi is left in a weakened state, hardly responding. In a panic, Kamome tries to call out to him repeatedly. As she struggles to wake him, the story briefly shifts back to the past, where a younger Kamome excitedly tells her group that they are about to reach their destination. To lift everyone's spirits, she begins singing a song, and soon the others join her, filling the cave with cheerful voices. They eventually find a way out, and this memory fades into the present. Kamome, now giving CPR to Hairi, watches anxiously until finally his eyes open. With a faint smile, he tells her she doesn't need to worry so much since he is a trained swimmer. She teases him, saying she already knows he is the swimmer who leaves his team and ends up here. Hairi, feeling a little playful, says that for a moment he thinks someone tries to kiss him, which makes Kamome blush deeply. He then realizes what happens and asks if she is the one giving him CPR. She nods and he thanks her sincerely. After that, they discover the path that will lead them out of the cave. Despite her determination, Kamome is clearly in pain and struggling to walk due to her injured leg. Hairi searches for the suitcase that she often uses for support, but it is nowhere to be found. Without hesitating, he reaches out and gently takes her hand, helping her walk as he reminds her that moments like these, finding a pirate ship during summer break with a close friend, are the kind of memories worth holding on to forever. Kamome looks at him and asks if he will always remember this adventure, to which Hairi answers that he will never forget it. Finally, as they emerge from the cave into the sunlight, they are met with a breathtaking sight, the pirate ship still standing, still waiting, just as the map promises. Overwhelmed with joy and disbelief, Hairi and Kamome smile brightly, knowing they have completed a journey that neither of them will ever forget.